Hello folks, Alex here. This is Alex Unabridged, and this is my November TBR. So welcome back to the channel if that is the case. Yes, November. What have I got for you this month? I have got some crime, some cryptids, and some cozy fantasy. I will have this video split up into various different sections because there is an event that I'm participating in this month, which is the Cryptid Readathon. So I will split this one up so that you can jump ahead to the various sections if you wish. If you're just here for the cryptid stuff, you can jump straight ahead, but I will do my adventures in genre TBR first for November, and then there's a couple of other bits to go in at the end. So let's start with that adventures in genre TBR. November is for neo-noir, and by that I mean modern crime thrillers. I don't read a lot of crime thrillers, certainly not stuff that's kind of centred around, you know, a detective working a case, that kind of thing. In terms of traditional noir fiction and film and anything else, I'm not necessarily a big fan of what I've consumed. But I know lots of people who are extremely into the sort of the neo-noir stuff, the modern stuff. And so what I've done is I've picked 3 books, and again I'm having a little mini trip around the world to certain places to pick books from particular regions where there is known to be some really good modern dark crime fiction. So first up, we've got to start with the Nordic noir, or the Scandi noir it's sometimes called. And for this I have picked Snowblind by Ragnar Jonasson, who is an Icelandic author, and this was written in 2010. The way I'm looking at it in terms of modern or contemporary, I'm looking at things written in the last 20 years basically, so anything published after 2003. So yeah, this one is 2010, and this one follows a rookie policeman on his first posting, far from his girlfriend, who's still in Reykjavik, and he's got a past that he can't leave behind. And the blurb for this says, when a young woman is found lying half naked in the snow, bleeding and unconscious, and a highly esteemed elderly writer falls to his death in the local theatre, Ari, that's our rookie cop, is dragged into the heart of a community where he can trust no one, and secrets and lies are a way of life. An avalanche and unremitting snowstorms close the mountain pass, and the 24-hour darkness threatens to push Ari over the edge as curtains begin to twitch and his investigation becomes increasingly complex, chilling and personal. Past plays tag with the present, and the claustrophobic tension mounts while Ari is thrust ever deeper into his own darkness, blinded by snow and with a killer on the loose. And I really liked the sound of this, and I've got to say thanks to Debs over at Rainer Reads for this one, certainly in terms of the author. I don't know much about Nordic noir at all, other than the big names, and I kind of wanted to avoid just going straight for, you know, a Stieg Larsson or something like that, or a Joe Nesbo or something like that. Debs mentioned in one of her videos actually that she was a big fan of Nordic noir. Oh, the cat's coming to say hello. Come here. Come on then. So Debs mentioned in one of her videos that she's really into the Nordic stuff. So I asked for some author recommendations, and this was the one that I picked. So thanks, Deb, for that. Hopefully. This will be a library book. I will go and get this out of the library later in the week. Okay, next up then, we are going just a little bit north from me, up to Scotland for some tartan noir. My dad loves tartan noir. He's read something of pretty much all of the Scottish crime writers, modern Scottish crime writers. And so again, I asked him to recommend authors for me, modern authors. And he knows I quite like darker stuff. So one that he recommended a while ago actually now is Stuart McBride. And so the one that I'll be reading is Cold Granite, which is the Logan McRae series #1, the first one. And this was published in 2005, and I will have this on audio. And the blurb for this reads, it's DS Logan McRae's first day back on the job after a year off on sick, and it couldn't get much worse. 4-year-old David Reed's body is discovered in a ditch, strangled, mutilated, and a long time dead. And he's only the first. There's a serial killer stalking the Granite City, and the local media are baying for blood. Soon, the dead are piling up in the morgue almost as fast as the snow on the streets, and Logan knows time is running out. More children are going missing, more are going to die, and if Logan isn't careful, he could end up joining them. So yeah, I hear good things about this. I hear it's quite gruesome. I hear it's quite dark. I've listened to the sample of the audio, and it's read very well by somebody with a proper, good Scottish accent. I think this is Aberdeen, the setting for this. I think that's the city. I think it's Aberdeen, which is up quite north, on the northeast of Scotland. So we'll give that one a go. Okay, and for the third one, I am hopping a little bit further afield over to Japan, because I have a huge gap in my reading in terms of, other than manga, I don't think I've read any Japanese fiction. So I've picked one of the more well-known ones, I guess, and that is The Devotion of Suspect X by Keigo Higashino. This was published in 2005, and it has been made into a film, I think, which I haven't seen. Higashino was described by the Times as the Japanese Stieg Larsson, so I thought, okay, well, this is probably a safe bet then. So the blurb for this reads, Yasuko lives a quiet life working in a Tokyo bento shop, a good mother to her only child. But when her ex-husband appears at her door without warning one day, her comfortable world is shattered. When Detective Kusanagi of the Tokyo Police tries to piece together the events of that day, he finds himself confronted by the most puzzling, mysterious circumstances he's ever investigated. Nothing quite makes sense, and it will take a genius to understand the genius behind this particular crime. So yes, I'm very interested to read that one, as I say, because that'll be completely new to me in terms of setting, culture, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, very interested to see what that's like. So that is the Adventures in Genre TBR. Some good, gritty detective fiction, hopefully. Okay then, on to the Cryptid Readathon. I'm very much looking forward to this. There are some prompts for this. This is the brainchild of, I think, Jason over at Jason's Weird Reads. But it's also co-hosted by Crystal over at Fiber Artsy, and Sin from Sin's Book Nook. So I will link to all of their announcement videos and their TBRs and stuff like that, their channels, so you can go and check out their stuff. But let's get into what I've picked for these various prompts. So prompt number 1 is read a book featuring your favourite cryptid. I think my favourite has to be, even though I've not read anything about this before in terms of fiction, the idea of it, and just, yeah, for whatever reason, my favourite is The Yeti, or The Abominable Snowman. And so I have picked a book, which is a Kindle Unlimited pick, called The Yeti, a novel by Rick Chester and Jack Douglas. And the blurb says, when evolutionary biology professor Dr. Zach Hitchens loses his wife in a senseless accident, he decides to follow her dreams all the way to the roof of the world, the peak of Mount Everest. On the infernal mountain, Zach and his teammates battle sickness, whiteout conditions, avalanches, the oxygen-starved minds of other climbers, and something else. Something primitive and consumed with rage. Something seeking revenge. something downright abominable. This sounds quite trashy, doesn't it? But really good fun. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to this. I like stuff set in the mountains. I particularly set in like the high sort of, inhospitable sort of mountain terrain that you get with high altitude mountains like Everest. So I think there'll be, potentially some good stuff for that. And you throw in a monster in there. All good for me. So we'll see what I make of that one. Next up, we've got Read a Book featuring a cryptid you would not like to run into alone in the dark. Wasn't that all cryptids? Pretty much. But one particularly that I've always thought is very creepy, that is Mothman. And so the book that I picked is Below by Laurel Hightower. I saw this a while ago and kind of thought, oh yeah, this looks good. This looks really interesting. So I picked it up off Kindle, and this is the blurb for it. While driving through the mountains of West Virginia during a late night snowstorm, a recently divorced woman experiences bizarre electrical problems, leaving her with little choice but to place her trust with a charismatic truck driver. But when an unexplainable creature with haunting red eyes gets between them, she's forced to make one of the toughest decisions of her life. Will she abandon the stranger who kept her safe, or will she climb down below, where reality is shapeshifted into a living nightmare? The cover of this, I really like. The cover of it was what sucked me in, and I kind of went, "Ooh, okay, that looks creepy." And then, yeah, I like the sound of this a lot. So yes, that's my pick for prompt number 2. Okay, prompt number 3 is Read a Book featuring a water-based cryptid. So sea serpents, mermaids, giant squid, Nessie, etc. And the one that I picked for this is Nessie related, and that is The Lock by Steve Alton, who of course wrote The Meg, and my sister and I shared on buying this book a while ago, because we thought, well, if it's anything, if it's as bonkers or anywhere close to being as bonkers as The Meg, it should be bloody good fun. So the blurb for this says, Loch Ness holds secrets ancient and deadly. Does a monster inhabit its depths, or is it just myth? Marine biologist Zachary Wallace once suffered a near-drowning experience in legendary Loch Ness, and now long-forgotten memories of that experience have begun haunting him. The truth surrounding these memories lies with Zachary's estranged father, Angus Wallace, a wily Highlander on trial for murder. Together, the two plunge into a world where the legend of Loch Ness shows its true face. So yes, I'm interested to read some more Steve Alton, and fingers crossed, get some more bonkers stuff to entertain me for the month. So yes, there we go, The Lock. Next up, we've got Read a Book featuring a forest-dwelling cryptid. And I have picked Bigfoot for this one because I do quite like a bit of Bigfoot as well. Bigfoot and the Abominable Snowman. I was a little bit torn between which one's kind of my favourite. But yeah, we'll go for Bigfoot for the forest-dwelling cryptid. And I've picked something completely different for this one, and we're going for some Bigfoot smut. And that is with The Bigfoot's Mate by Delaney Rain, and this is Kindle Unlimited as well. And the blurb for this is, anthropologist Ramsey Kay survives a small plane crash in the forest, but is prevented from getting immediate help by injuries and bad weather. Though he's out here looking for Bigfoot evidence, he's still terrified when the real thing finds him taking shelter in the wrecked plane. But now he's living in a cave with the hairy brute and discovering that the big guy might not be so beastly after all. In fact, Ramsey might just be falling in love with Bigfoot. Ramsey spent his life wanting to prove Bigfoot's existence to the world, but now that he has all the evidence he could ever want, he's not sure he wants to share. But what if people come looking for him, intent on rescuing him? Does he stay or does he go? Is love enough of a reason for Ramsey to abandon his modern life and remain here in the forest as Bigfoot's mate? I picked this one because I think it will be amusing, based on my experience with Delaney Rain's, one of Delaney Rain's other books, which I read as part of Garb August, which was The Minotaur's Mate. So a bit of Minotaur smut. and it was well written. The world building was good. You know, the characters were decent, and it was highly entertaining and quite smutty. So I thought I will go back to Delaney Rain for a little bit more entertaining, spicy romance, silly, spicy romance. So that will be a nice change from some of the more creepy, horror-y stuff that I've got on this list. Okay, prompt number 5 then, the final prompt for the readathon, is read a book featuring a cryptid that's been sighted near you. So in your state, if you're in the US, or within drivable range. Well, everywhere is within drivable range here in the UK, really. So I thought I'd go as local as I possibly could. And so I've picked a folklore creature, because we don't really talk about these kind of creatures as cryptids. I don't think in the UK. It's kind of when you say cryptid, to me, I think of Bigfoot, Yeti, Mothman, that kind of thing. Maybe Nessie, but like we don't have the same sort of level of cryptids as say like the US does. In terms of I think how we talk about them, or at least in my experience anyway. So I've gone folklore creatures because they are essentially the same thing. And so I've picked one called Jenny Greenteeth, who is essentially a water hag, or kind of similar to a Grindylow. The legend is that she would pull children and elderly people into the water and drown them. And she's often described as green-skinned with long hair and very sharp teeth. She's called Jenny Greenteeth in Lancashire, which is just north of me. I'm just kind of south of Manchester. Lancashire is just north of Manchester. But in my neck of the woods in Cheshire, she's often called Wicked Jenny or Ginny Greenteeth. So I found a book by an author called Simon John Cox on Kindle, independent, called Greenteeth. And the blurb for this is, when 3 university friends travel to an isolated lake to investigate reported sightings of an alien big cat, they expect yet another hoax. But when footage of their remote cameras appears to show someone emerging from the water in the dead of night, they realise that the lake may hold stranger secrets than a phantom panther. In a local history book, they read the tale of a sunken village lurking forgotten deep beneath the surface. And when they dive in the lake to investigate, they discover, too late, that they've disturbed something that was better left in peace. So we'll see what this is like. Sounds like, kind of a bit of a modern horror novel using bits of this Greenteeth legend. So yeah, it'd be nice to read something that's got connections to my local area. I don't know where it's set, because as I say, there are instances of Jenny Greenteeth in various places. But yes, certainly this is one that exists within my neck of the woods. And then as a bonus, if I wanted to read any other cryptid stuff, whilst I was trawling Kindle Unlimited particularly for some stuff, I found a series called Cryptid Zoo by Jerry Griffiths. And this essentially looks a little bit like a kind of a series of shorter stories set somewhere that's a bit like kind of a Jurassic Park, but for cryptids, I think. And it just sounded quite amusing, quite entertaining. So if I get a chance, I will try and read the first one from the Cryptid Zoo series. Okay, so that's all the stuff for the Cryptid Readathon. I'm really looking forward to this. I think this is going to be so much fun. It's kind of just what I'm after for November, I think. So two more things that are kind of on the list for November, which are kind of a bit more hope to reads based on if I get through all of the previous, stuff the stuff I've already mentioned. So the first one is something I've had on pre-order that is out on the 9th of November, and that is Bookshops and Bonedust by Travis Baldree. This is the prequel to Legends and Lattes, which I absolutely loved when I read it earlier in the year. And the blurb for this just says, First Loves, Second-Hand Books, Epic Adventures. A standalone cosy fantasy about the power of good bookshops, great friends, and the unexpected choices along the way. And I'm really, really looking forward to this. Based on my experience with the last one, with Legends and Lattes, I've got everything crossed that this one is just as good, because Legends and Lattes was a wonderful, wonderful surprise. And the other one that I didn't get to in September when I wanted to, so it's a recent release, is Holly by Stephen King. I really, really want to get to this, but things have just been that hectic for me recently that I've had to push it to the side. I've kept having to go, no, not this month, not this month. I wanted to try and get to it in October, and I haven't. So try and get to it in November instead. It's an audiobook, so hopefully I can pop it on whilst I'm doing some work. I've got quite a lot of printing work to do in November, so hopefully I can put it on during the day and listen while I'm kind of doing a bit of a print run on things. So that is it for my November TBR. That is plenty. You know, I should be able to get through all of the stuff on the TBR, i.e. the cryptid stuff and the adventures in genre, but it remains to be seen whether I'll get through the other two. But plenty to keep me busy and out of trouble. So that is it from me today then, folks. Do let me know in the comments what you are planning on reading for the next month. If you're planning on getting involved with the Cryptid Readathon, let me know what you're planning on diving into and what cryptids you're going to be reading about for that fantastic event. So yes, but that is it from me in my rambling today. Thank you very much for watching, as always. If you enjoyed this video, please do consider giving me a like and subscribing for more content coming very soon. But from me, for now, that's ta-ra.